I thought I'd take a quick break from the Christmas shopping and duck into the thrift stores, but I must not have been the only one who had that idea because St. Vincent's and Goodwill were both more crowded than the malls. I found some neat stuff though, so I'm not complaining. This set of prehistoric whatever they are, I got one of those for the boys years ago and they never used them because we needed water that wasn't tap water, so hopefully they keep for a long time. I can't figure this one out. They were old wooden stools bolted to a piece of wood. Is it a coat rack? Let me know if you have an idea. I used to have some fabric artichokes like that. I can't remember whatever happened to them or why I was so enamored with them in the first place. This is one of my absolute favorite finds of the day. I love the subject matter. I love the colors. I can't quite get past the point that the stitches, when you look at them up close, look like the wrong side of a knitted stockinette sweater, but just look at the colors. The froth on the waves and the details of those rocks are just absolutely amazing. And I didn't save the stitches on this one. The price was a little too high for me to be tempted by that, but boy, I hope someone else picks it up and gives it a good home because that is an absolutely gorgeous piece. And it was there on a hanger in amongst some really ugly bedding. This is my other favorite find of the day, and it's one that I'm going to regret. I love old radios. We listened to the old shows in the car, and I romanticize those in the era of listening to the radio. We know I love my streaming and YouTube and everything. I also, when I was growing up, my family owned an appliance store, so the old logos like that Zenith logo just make my heart go pity-pat. This poor thing was in horrible condition, did not work. I hope green was not the 50% off color of the day. I'm probably better off not knowing because I would have wanted so bad to bring this home. And I already do have a non-functional old radio, but mine doesn't have that phenomenal Zenith logo. I did not look too hard in this bin of dog blankets and painting sheets for $1.99 each because there on the very top were some vintage sheets that would make phenomenal quilt backs. I have a whole big box of vintage sheets in my sewing room. I don't need any more. But I think I might remember where this store is in case I need to go dig for some in the future. They had a shelving unit full of old sewing machines, and I'm not buying any more. I have enough, unless I find another $7.99 working pretty vintage Singer, but none of these screamed that they needed to come home with me. They're always fun to look at, though. And honestly, if I was going to be tempted by something, it's more likely to be this old vintage adding machine than the sewing machines. I need a vintage adding machine about as much as I need another sewing machine. So it was also safe from coming home with me. And like I said, if anything I saw on this trip was going to make it into the back of my car, it would have been that radio. I don't know what magic carpet rug yarn is, but that color is gorgeous. Pretty sure you shouldn't knit clothing with it, and at $2 and something a skein, I don't know who's going to have the budget to buy all of that to take it home to make something pretty with it. Sometimes the thrift store prices concern me a bit. And I love that they have the craft books right next to the sewing machine, so you don't have to go looking for them. I glanced quickly and there was nothing here on my wish list or that was tempting enough to make me pick it up and take a closer look. It's a good thing my middle son wasn't with me because he loves all of this old silver plate, especially the ornate teapots. I don't know why I don't ask questions. We are allowed to like what we like. And I've seen some really neat things on Pinterest where they've taken these teapots and hung them from chains with S-hooks. So if we ever find the right estate sale where I can pick some of those up for cheap, they are coming home with us. But at the thrift store prices, I still put up a bit of a fight. As much as we'd sometimes like to, we can't have everything that is pretty and wonderful and sparkly. There's one of those gold plates my mom had hanging on the walls in our living room, or maybe that was Grandma. I'm always finding things at the thrift store that make me wonder. Someone in my early childhood had it, but who was it and what room was it hanging in? Don't know if those grapes are old or not, but they've got a neat vintage look to them. And my husband and I were looking at tortilla presses the other day. I don't know if he seriously wanted one or what. I didn't get it. There are so many pots and pans. They had a great aisle of them, and if you were setting up a kitchen, this would have been the place to look. I've got enough pots and pans in my kitchen, although I did find a couple there that almost made me want a closer look, and now I see a couple more that I wish I would have looked a bit closer at. But pots and pans are better to buy at estate sales, usually on Sunday when everything is totally marked down. My husband has a whole collection of these old vintage meat grinders. I've kind of lost track of what sizes he has, and I don't know what makes one more appealing than the next one, so could have got him a grinder for Christmas, but I didn't. Do you buy thrifted Christmas or birthday presents? I've seen a lot of discussion about that lately, and if it is something vintage that I am buying for a friend who I know collects vintage, I will totally buy a thrifted gift. I draw the line at buying something thrifted and trying to pass it off as new. Maybe with my own children, but even then I don't think I would. And honestly, the stuff that my kids like from the thrift stores, there would be no passing it off as new because they are very into vintage. Take a look at this little jewelry box. The most precious jewels you'll ever have around your neck are the arms of your children. And then look at the side where it says mom, 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 mom. And I just keep hearing the nagging little voices and can't get around the sentiment that the most precious things around my neck will be their arms. And I'm so glad they weren't with me because I would have had hands around my neck. These little, I think they're 1970s figurines. I'm sure they have a name, but I don't know what it is. I have been seeing them everywhere lately. I don't know if they're more than usual or if they're just suddenly catching my attention. Most of these were variations on I'm sorry. And if they all came from the same household, there has got to be a story behind that. And I hope it's a fun one and not a sad stalkery one, but you've got to wonder a little bit. It's always fun to look at other people's collections of things and wonder what was the motivation behind them. I am going to buy a set of bronze baby shoes one of these days. This wasn't the pair. I don't know if that was $2.99 for the pair or if they had the shoes priced individually. Knowing St. Vincent's, they were probably priced individually. Those did have a much more solid, real metal feel than the last pair that I looked at, which had been painted with something metallic. There is that winter scene again. I keep seeing those cups everywhere. Different shops, different towns, different styles, but the artwork is always the same. I visited, I think, 3 new to me shops on this afternoon, and one that I had been to before and went out of my way to get back to. It really doesn't take that long. If you are driving down the road with the thrift shop on it anyway, it doesn't take that much time out of your day just to duck in and see what there is to see. I left all the shops empty-handed, but I had fun looking and found some really neat things that I'm excited about sharing with you. I'm Michelle with Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with you again soon.